Thank you all for joining us today. We are really excited to be speaking with you all about AMC audiences and how best to deploy them for Prime Day and beyond. My name is Matt Koski. I lead business development here at Envision Horizons. Been here the last 4 years on the ops side. So I've been hands on keyboard for I think a dozen Prime Days at this point. And so excited to share the knowledge that I've gleaned over those past few years. I'll pass over to Kate.
Wonderful. Thanks, Matt. Kate Grubel, VP of Advertising. I joined Envision last quarter and am very excited to be partnering with Matt today on this webinar. Our goal is to provide you with very hands-on, tactical details and tips and tricks for leveraging AMC audiences, especially when we know that there will be a lot of other brands vying for the same shoppers that you're going after during this critical deal period. So believe it or not, we are 19 days away from Prime Day, which feels pretty insane for any of us who live and breathe the Amazon world and have been preparing for this event for weeks and months on end. And for many brands, Prime Day is a huge traffic driving event, typically the largest of the year. And it's a critical inflection point for reaching new shoppers, as well as engaging and upselling your existing client base. And we've been able to prove out time and again that Amazon Marketing Cloud and the unique audiences we can build within AMC are really a differentiator and can help you achieve your goals because of the richness that we can pull from them, both during, after, and of course, in the lead up to the event itself. When it comes to today's agenda, we'll talk about the audiences that we recommend building and how to structure your campaign flightings throughout that lead-in, during, post period. We also are going to go live into an AMC instance to demo creating an audience, hopefully empowering you to do the same coming out of this conversation. And then finally, we'll talk through some setup best practices when it comes to adding both AMC audiences to your sponsored ads campaigns and DSP campaigns. We've got some great case studies of success stories with our client base to also hammer things home. If you're joining us today, my hope is that you have some foundational knowledge of Amazon Marketing Cloud, but just in the event that you don't, the quick kind of 60-second elevator pitch of Amazon Marketing Cloud is that it's Amazon's clean room environment, allowing brands to, in a privacy-safe platform, bring together disparate anonymized data sources for the benefit of your business. And when I say benefit of your business, that really means querying those data sources to generate rich, advanced insights, both into your ads specific strategy and performance, but also your broader business outlook and performance on Amazon. And also what we'll spend most of our time today talking about, which is that audience creation capability. So taking rich signals from user first-party data in that safe environment and enabling you to take immediate action through audiences within your media strategies. Amazon is investing a lot in AMC right now, and we wanted to flag for everybody 2 newer offerings or opportunities within Amazon Marketing Cloud that we would really encourage you to take advantage of. The first has been getting a lot of excitement within LinkedIn over the last week or so, and that is Amazon has removed the paywall for some of their paid features. I shouldn't say some of, all of their paid features through the end of this calendar year. And this is a really great opportunity for all brands to learn more about their business in not just, again, your ad signals, but really those non-media attributed business signals are now available to you for free through December 31st. The second release actually came out of Unbox, but it's something that has been improving over the last few months that we feel is worth noting. And that is there is an Ask AI for AMC Help agent embedded within your AMC instances now that allows you to have a conversation with it to help solve for any of your reporting or audience creation needs. We really love this here at Envision Horizons because it allows us as practitioners who may not have SQL knowledge to move at the speed of our clients' businesses when it comes to analyzing specific questions and recommending strategies utilizing audiences that are highly customizable. If you haven't played with this ads agent, we'd absolutely recommend doing so coming out of this session. It's great for crafting a query for you for either a report or an audience that might not be one of the pre-available use cases that Amazon has built into the console. So lots of continued focus from Amazon on really lowering the barrier to entry and using Amazon Marketing Cloud. And these are two core features that we would encourage you to take advantage of ASAP. But on to our regularly scheduled topics for today, and that is diving into AMC Audiences. So I'll pass it over to Matt to take you all through just some of the core audiences available and why you should consider them.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Kate, for the intro and the brief overview. So today we're talking about AMC Audiences, and really what AMC Audiences are is the ability to query all the rich data that Amazon is gathering across millions and billions of touch points across every customer that you're engaging with. It's all housed in Amazon Marketing Cloud and is accessible, albeit through a little bit of effort. And so what AMC Audiences help unlock is unique audiences that are going to be more in tune with your brand, more targeted audiences that are more likely to convert. And there's a lot of signals that Amazon is capturing that we can then build audiences around, like people who have added a product to cart, but they have not checked out. They've looked at our brand's product detail pages multiple times, but not yet made a purchase. They've searched specific category keywords that are very relevant to our product. They've clicked and engaged with one of our ads, but maybe not other types of ads. Or they have signals, demographics, shopping patterns that model our top customers, and those are lookalike audiences. So these are just a few of the many audience types that are available within AMC, and we'll talk through a few more of the specifics here and what audiences we recommend in particular for Prime Day. So you can create these audiences, but then what do you actually do with them? So there's three main use cases for AMC custom audiences, and this is sponsored advertising bid boosting within these customer ad segments. And so you can create a keyword searcher audience for people who've searched top keywords in your niche, and you can add a bid multiplier to pay a little bit extra to ensure that you are capturing the traffic of that highly relevant audience. Or if you build a lookalike audience based on your current Amazon subscribers, you can pay a little bit more to ensure that you're capturing that traffic because it's really high intent traffic that you're more likely to convert on and turn into a paying customer. So you can essentially add additional filters to pay a little bit more for higher intent traffic. Now that is on the sponsored ad campaign side. All of your PPC campaigns, sponsored product, brand, display, you can add bid boosts. Within sponsored display in particular, as well as DSP, you can create targeting specifically to these audiences. So instead of paying extra to access, you can just build out ad campaigns targeting certain ASINs in your catalog and build out DSP orders or sponsored display orders to target shoppers within that custom audience. So there's end-to-end opportunity to engage with these customers, both on the sponsored on-platform pay-per-click ads, as well as your programmatic display ads. So let's dive right in terms of what we recommend for pre-Prime Day AMC audiences. And there's a few different scenarios or goals that you might have as a brand in terms of what you're trying to achieve during Prime Day. You might have multiple goals for Prime Day. And so we have a few tailored audiences for each segment that we recommend building out. And so the first segment is, you're trying to reach new customers. I think everybody is trying to acquire new shoppers during Prime Day. It's a great opportunity for brand awareness, and we've seen this across our portfolio of brands. So there's a few great audiences to build, and predominantly these can be lookalike audiences. Why we like them so much and they're so powerful is because it's taking your proven customer base that has shown to be some of your best customers, loyal customers through subscription, or even taking your D2C shoppers and turning those into a list that you can then target and find similar customers on Amazon. And so what we've done with all of these audiences is, for our brands that are really looking to maximize Prime Day, putting these into DSP awareness campaigns is a great way to start generating traffic on highly relevant customers that we think will convert in Prime Day. And so we have dates listed at the top of the slide here. We like a full 30-day lead-in period to Prime Day where we're generating awareness, building our audience pools so that we have lots of traffic to retarget and run ads to during the actual event itself. Kate, I know I shared a lot there, but anything else that you'd add on how we like to do lead-in awareness?
One goal I would have is, we've highlighted for launching that new product, the AMC high value shoppers. But even if you're not launching a new product, we love these audiences for just growing total basket size within your existing shopper base. So if you're looking to cross-sell a shopper who might be buying one product line to another, this would be a great audience to test there as well. So some of the key KPIs that I know a lot of brands are looking at from Prime Day is that new to brand shopper rate, but also looking at average order value can be a great indicator of your success from repeat shoppers, getting them to engage with your brand even more.
And one great capability that AMC allows is for you to be able to re-engage specific lapsed customers with more precise and precision targeting than you can through just standard targeting alone. And so what you are able to do within Amazon Marketing Cloud is build custom audiences around your past Prime Day shoppers, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and find those shoppers who bought during those deal periods but have not re-engaged with the brand since. Or it could be inclusive of any customer you acquired during that event. But we like new to brand customers that bought during those periods, and those we kind of label as deal seekers. Maybe you have a premium brand and people were happy to buy your product when it was on sale, but it might just be a little bit out of their typical budget. And so this is a great way for you to re-engage shoppers who've engaged with the brand but have since fallen dormant and try to entice them back with a Prime Day deal. Additionally, Kate alluded to that paid data sets that have been marked as free through the end of the year. One of those has been Amazon's 5-year lookback window. So you can get customer data back to 5 years previous of past purchasers. So you can find ultra lapsed purchasers who they might have bought from your brand 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but haven't since. And this is a great customer to put some dollars behind and try to see if you can entice them back. So these are two past purchaser audiences that you can build and customize through AMC that are really valuable. It's a really opportune time. You can run this evergreen, but we find great re-engagement with customers when we're pairing it with a deal. Moving right along to our Prime Day audiences, what shifts from our application is during the pre-Prime Day period, we are really focused on building detailed page views, building an audience base to target during the event. So we are putting most of our investment towards awareness campaigns, whether that be streaming TV campaigns, online video, or in-market lookalike audiences that can help build traffic and audience pools to target during the event itself. Now, once we get to the event, our audiences, we're going to be retargeting all those lookalike audiences and customers who've engaged with our product through kind of our conversion oriented orders, the views retargeting, or even lapse purchase remarketing for our retention of past purchasers. But then we are also going to look at what are other shoppers that are in aisle, in market, that we can also add into that targeting pool. So there's a few different audiences we build for this use case. Keyword searcher audiences can be really impactful. If you're selling a blush, you could add in keywords like blush, red blush, powdered blush, and these are high search volume terms that you can make sure you're targeting those in-market shoppers that are already in aisle for the brand. And then additionally, we're looking at other audiences. I already mentioned the past deal event shoppers, but people who've engaged with our PDPs a lot. They've been doing window shopping in the days leading in. How can we build a custom audience around those people who've done a lot of browsing but not purchased yet? Make sure that we are getting ads in front of them during the event. We have a question in the chat from Chris, and he asks, how many days of look back do you use when you're making these lookalike audiences? Do you use different look back width for awareness audiences versus conversion audiences? So that's a really good question. For lookalike audiences on awareness, I tend to broaden that out. That usually is my preference because we're able to build bigger audience pools, and the larger of a customer base that we give, it gives Amazon more data points to find similar shoppers. So I'm going back to, as far as a year for the awareness. Now, it also depends on the size of your brand. For conversion audiences, I would like to go on a shorter look back window, but Amazon Marketing Cloud requires at least 2,000 shoppers within a pool. So we've tried doing last 30 days for more conversion audiences, but we'll bump that up to 90 days or 180 if needed in order to have audience size be large enough. Okay, any other recommendations you'd add?
Yeah, I think the one build to that is for the example audience that we've included here of past event shoppers, we would use that look back window specific to the dates of the past event. And so if we're looking to intentionally re-engage someone who explored us during a prior deal event, then we would suggest, and we have the ability to identify and isolate to specific events when setting up those audiences. And that is something we can talk to further as we're going through that live demo. Great. Why don't we go into kind of similar vein, the lookbacks for a post Prime Day audience strategy. So immediately after Prime Day, you have the opportunity to re-engage people who considered your brand, but ultimately didn't make a conversion. AMC allows us to create custom audiences for cart abandoners, people who viewed our PDPs a handful of times but didn't convert, and also the ability to remarket to shoppers who came to our brand store but didn't purchase. And these are great audiences to re-engage, especially if you're doing any lead out type deals. We know that Amazon can look to extend your deals post Prime Day in a handful of cases. And that would be a great way to stay on the radar of those shoppers who clearly were interested in your products, but for whatever reason did not end up pulling the trigger during the event itself. These are great audiences to add into conversion and retention campaigns within your DSP strategy, and then into sponsored ad campaigns across a variety of targeting types. So your branding campaigns, your campaigns targeting branded keywords, targeting category keywords, or just utilizing automatic targeting. Longer post Prime Day retention campaigns should really be focused on continuing to engage new to brand shoppers that purchased on Prime Day and securing that second, third, fourth purchase. So you can, using a look back specific to the days of Prime Day, create an audience of shoppers who converted during the event, who were first time purchasers, and then re-engage them at your appropriate kind of repeat purchase or standard purchase life cycle. We also recommend utilizing Prime Day specific custom audiences for upsell and cross-sell strategies as well. What's great is AMC does allow you using their reports or custom queries to help understand what percent of shoppers who converted for the first time during Prime Day end up making those repeat purchases. So you're able to, within AMC, have confidence in the success of these post Prime Day retention audiences in achieving their intended objective of turning that first time purchaser into a loyal brand shopper. Matt, any builds from you here?
Yeah, you brought some great points, especially on evaluating the efficacy of your Prime Day campaign through those analytic queries. Now, that's not in the scope of today's conversation, but something that we would love to connect with anybody offline to discuss how to do that analysis. And as we've partnered with our brands in maximizing Prime Day, we know that discount percentages are such a huge factor in Prime Day success. But we also know leadership internally within brands is always apprehensive of approving more of a deeper discount. So what we've leveraged, especially with some of our partners, has been doing that post Prime Day analysis. How many new to brand customers did we acquire? What's the LTV of those customers? And really make the leadership case of why we need to go all in on Prime Day with deep discounts, because there's such a big brand halo that happens when you're acquiring a big customer base that's new to the brand, and then able to pair that with specified targeting and re-engagement post-Prime to make them repeat shoppers of the brand. One final thought I'll just add here is also with post-Prime Day, a lot of brands will run brand tailored promotions where we're offering tailored promotions to people like cart abandoners who added to cart but didn't check out. These custom audiences with brand tailored promotions can be a great combo to help seal the deal. And now we are going to transition from talking in the hypothetical to actually getting hands on keyboard and giving you a live walkthrough of how you can create some of these. And won't be exhaustive, but we will at least give you a sense of some of the opportunity there is within Amazon Marketing Cloud. So I am diving right into the ad console, which is where AMC lives. And to find Amazon Marketing Cloud, you have your campaign manager, you go down to measurement and reporting, and Amazon Marketing Cloud is a drop down within that. Once you click into that and click into your AMC instance, you will be left at the home page here. And there's a lot of different tabs and a lot of noise. It's not the most beautiful platform, but it is very powerful if you're able to navigate it. So the easiest way to help build audiences is to go under the use cases section. We talked about the two use cases being audience creation as well as advanced analytics. Both of those use cases are built in here, but you can filter down just to audiences. And for the sake of simplicity, we will go down to the no code audiences where it's, click and submit. You don't have to mess with any code whatsoever. So we will run through 3 different audiences today. As you can see, there's over 20 plus audiences that you can target. But the 3 that we'll run through today is building high value new to brand audiences for high value customers specifically, and the audiences based on shopper sponsored keywords. So we'll look first at building a high value new to brand customer audience. And so whenever you click into the AMC audience creation, there's a lot of description of what the audience is. And then you scroll down to actually build the audience. And so this is just our sandbox account, so it won't be specifically applied to an advertiser, but it's all the same within your brand AMC instance. There are 2 types of audiences that you can build. rules based, which just means we are going to build an audience based on the rule criteria that you input down below. So whatever inputs you put down here, we're going to build that a specific audience. For lookalike audiences, this is going to take whatever inputs you put down here, and then it is going to make a similar audience and target similar customers that match the criteria that you list here. So for this first audience, we are looking at high value new to brand customers. And so we will start with building a lookalike audience. So instead of targeting our new to brand high value customers, we'll try to engage other shoppers that look similar to that customer segment. And when you select lookalike audiences, there's a lot of different types that you can select. From our experience, we've tested all of them. You get the best return on investment and performance from the most similar. As you hover over each of these audiences, the audience size gets bigger and bigger. And as the audience gets bigger, they have to stretch how similar the audience looks like to your existing customer base. And in our experience, as you get from balanced and beyond, it starts to degrade the quality of the audience, and it tends to not perform quite as well. So we would recommend most similar to start with. If the audience size is not big enough or you want to reach even more shoppers, I would bump up to similar, but I wouldn't stretch too far beyond that. You can then put in a name for the audience. So this could be high value, new to brand. And then you could add a description if you wanted. And then this gets back to Chris's question earlier, is what's that date range that you are looking at? And so for new to brand high value customers, if this is going to be an awareness audience for me in the lead into Prime Day, I feel comfortable going back the last 365 days, because that's, a new to brand customer by Amazon's definition, somebody who's purchased for the first time for your brand in the last year. And I will segment this down to just new to brand customers. Now, how do we calculate that high value equation? This is going to be a little bit relative depending on how large or small you want to make this audience. But I think a good baseline to think about somebody who is higher value is maybe somebody who has double the purchase value of your average order value. So if you have an AOV of $50, I would maybe do a filter of any new to brand shoppers who've spent over $100. And that might be a good way to tailor your audience towards your better shoppers. You could make this even higher, but we want to strike the balance of getting a large enough audience that Amazon has a good base of customers to draw upon to build your lookalike, while also not being too broad that you're just targeting any run-of-the-mill customer and you lose the efficacy of the filtering. I know I ran through a lot there. The last component of this is ASINs to include or exclude. So for a lot of awareness campaigns, if we're doing good filtering of high value customers, they're new to brand, they've met a certain purchase or spend criteria, I like leaving this blank because, again, it casts a wider net within our purchase catalog and it avoids us constraining our audience size too small. But if you have a really big brand or you have different product lines, you might consider providing a list of ASINs. Let's say you sell skincare and makeup. Maybe you want to have a subset of skincare ASINs and then a subset of makeup ASINs. And you could build two custom audiences that'd be high value new to brand for makeup, high value new to brand for skincare. That would be a great way to segment your audience based on intent, based on what they're purchasing, while also keeping it a little bit broader so that you're not narrowing your audiences too small. After you set all these settings, you would go ahead and then create the audience and it would build. So this is the sandbox, so it's not going to complete that, but that is kind of the walkthrough of recommendations we would have. Are there any questions in the chat, or Kate, anything that you wanted to add?
Just the one build I would have is on your last comment around being sensitive to creating an audience that's too narrow. Amazon will tell you if your audience is too narrow and thus could not be created because of the limited number of users that would fall into that audience and Amazon's safety requirements or PII requirements. And so if you do set up an audience and it's rejected, the things that we would suggest adjusting and trying again would be that look back window. So if you're not using 365, you could expand that. It would be that minimum total spend here. So adjusting that likely down is what you would be needing. And then if you did apply that ASIN filtering, again, looking to build a slightly larger audience from a larger number of ASINs versus maybe the subset that you had first attempted with. We suggest adjusting those criteria before going back up and changing from most similar to similar, balanced, etc. Sometimes it does take a little bit of massaging as you're setting up your first audiences to be successful in getting an audience that is approved.
Thank you, Kate. Those are all really good additions. For the sake of time, I will do one more run through and then just show a couple other functions within Amazon Marketing Cloud where you can actually see where those audiences are created. So we will go down to use cases again. Let me filter to audiences. And this time we'll look at that sponsored ad keyword customer base. And so very similarly, you could do a lookalike audience or rule-based audience for sponsored ad keywords. I like doing rules-based because I don't want people who searched something similar to my product. I want keyword searchers who've actually searched specific product terms. So I would do rules-based. I like, if possible, this is one where you might test a few look back windows and see how small you can go. Because if somebody searched a keyword 30 days ago, unless you have a really expensive, high consideration product, they've probably made that purchase or they've moved on to something else. So ideally, we can do people who've searched the last 7 days. We can go up to 14 or 30 if needed, but 7 days would be ideal. And what we prefer here in our strong recommendation is that you're adding in a higher volume of keywords that are relevant within a niche or within a product. So going back to the previous example, if you're doing blush, we would want to target, blush for women, all the variations of blush keyword, red blush, powdered blush. Maybe you have red blush lip stain. You guys get the idea, but building out that keyword research and that customer list so that you're capturing a wider base of searches that is large enough to engage a meaningful audience within the last 7 days. Something I didn't speak to on the last section is this auto adjust date. And this is a really important setting that we want to almost always have checked to yes. And it will continue to update on a daily basis of just shoppers that searched in that last 7-day window. And why this is important to have it set as auto refresh is it will constantly refresh the audience. So you're not hitting that same group of customers that you queried over and over and over again, because we know they'll either purchase or maybe they'll get tired of seeing your ad, and you're constantly engaging new customers with the auto refresh. So what we would recommend is setting auto refresh on 7 days, type in that keyword list, blush for women, red blush, powdered blush, etc. You would add all that in. And then you can, in this instance, filter down your ASIN list to the products that you're trying to advertise that are relevant. And then you can create the audience. And so this, again, you might have to adjust the look back windows, but some recommendations we would have is expanding the keyword list first, try to add in more keywords, and then expand the look back second if you still can't get the audience. And for here, we would recommend high volume search terms that are relevant to the category. So that way you are targeting specific terms that are relevant to your product, but there's enough meaningful volume that you're likely to build an audience that's large enough. Any questions on building this audience? Anything else you'd add, Kate, while we're here?
No, I think that's fantastic.
Okay. So you build these audiences. Where do you actually see where they live? And so there is within the AMC hub, there is an audiences tab that will be built. Now, this is again a test ground, so we don't have any audiences listed here, but you will see all the audiences that you create listed out here. And then you can see the status, whether they succeeded or whether they failed. And if they failed, you can go back to the drawing board, back to the audience creation page, and you can make those tweaks that we advised on to help build an audience that works. The last thing that we'll walk through on our demo here is just how do you access those paid features? I'm putting air quotes because they're free through the end of the year. And the one that Kate was alluding to is Amazon Insights. It was formerly called Flexible Shopping Insights. And this is all of your Amazon organic data. So organic page views or your subscriber shopping behavior. And so Amazon Marketing Cloud in the free version just gives you all the ad touch points, all the ad data. You can layer on organic data through the Amazon Insights. There's a lot of cool audiences that you can build through that. And so again, you can click see options, you can subscribe on that, but that's found under the paid features there. With that, I will take it back here to the call and we'll open back up the deck. There's one last thing we wanted to walk through is at least for DSP, you probably need an agency or a partner to help with order setup there, but we wanted to walk through how do you set up AMC audiences for your ad campaigns. And it's a pretty simple process. You just open up your campaign within Campaign Manager, you go to the bid adjustments tab, you select change audience, then you click increase bids on a custom audience created within AMC, and then you can toggle that drop down, select the audience that you want, and then you can input your bid multiplier and hit adjust bids. So it's a really quick and easy process once you get the hang of it. The one final note that's really important is AMC audience bid adjustments stack with your placement bid multipliers. So we often will run top of search bid multipliers because we see increased conversion at top of search. If you're adding on a AMC audience bid multiplier, it is going to stack on top of your existing bid multiplier. So it will raise CPCs because the audience intent and targeting is so strong. It is usually still profitable and provides efficiency improvement if you have a lower bid adjustment. But you don't want to be putting 100 or 50% in here because that will tend to be too big of an adjustment and it will degrade your overall ad efficiency. All right, well, I will pass it back to Kate to talk us through some of the successes that we've seen leveraging these audiences.
Yes. So, what can you expect from setting these audiences up? We first wanted to share with you a case study for a beauty brand that had the challenge of needing to drive efficiency within their DSP strategy. We recognize that all brands are working within profitability guardrails when it comes to selling on Amazon. And AMC is a great way to continue to reach category shoppers, but doing so efficiently. By applying AMC lookalike audiences within this advertiser's DSP strategy, both high value customer audience segments and subscribe and save lookalike audience segments, we were able to drive improved return versus the conquesting and contextual DSP strategies that were previously live within this advertiser's campaigns. Our AMC Audiences had a stronger conversion rate of almost 2x compared to other tactics. And we were able to achieve some CPC efficiencies versus, in particular, the contextual targeting we were doing, because this was a very high cost and competitive category that the brand was playing within. And so the key strategies, again, we leveraged here were a mix of subscribe and save lookalike and high value audiences. And we applied these AMC audiences across various funnel stages to not just attempt to bring efficiency to the upper funnel tactics, but really strive for efficiency across the entire DSP funnel. We did partner with the brand to secure really strong creative to help with conversion rates. And we would recommend that as you're considering the audiences that you're building with AMC and folding those into your DSP strategy, that you keep creative strategy front in mind as well, because putting that right message in front of that right audience will only help to boost overarching performance of your tactics. So we loved these results. We wanted to also share our best practices, which is a bit of a summary of what Matt and I have already taken you through. When we start to build AMC audiences for our advertisers, we really start with the advertiser objective. So we encourage you to do the same of what are you trying to achieve within your ads investment, and using that to guide the audiences that you're creating. AMC audiences have been proven to bring conversion efficiencies. And while we see that at times the CPC for an audience added to sponsored ads campaigns might be higher than your typical CPC, what that last case study proved out, and what we've seen time and again, is that the conversion rate from these AMC audiences are higher, and that ultimately results in stronger return on your ad spend. When you're getting started with AMC audiences, bring a testing mindset to your approach. We recommend creating multiple audiences to identify top performers and to not write off all AMC audiences if that first audience you test with doesn't deliver the results that you were hoping for. Within sponsored ads campaigns, we like to test audiences utilizing automatic campaigns, because that's a great way to isolate the performance of an AMC audience. And then, as Matt just took you through, setting audiences to auto refresh in their lookback window helps to ensure that you're continuing to reach the most relevant shoppers. And then finally, make sure that you're bringing agility to your budgeting strategy for your media as you test AMC audiences. Where we have found success in reallocating budget towards AMC audiences is from tactics like conquesting contextual or in-market audiences for DSP, because we have found that the efficiencies of lookalike audiences created off your first party data results in stronger return and performance. To hammer home these best practices, we wanted to share an additional case study from last year's Prime Day with a premium beauty brand that was really looking to reach new shoppers at scale. We as Envision have specialty or expertise and passion within the beauty category. And for this brand, we leveraged a smattering of AMC audiences focused on reaching new to brand customers and pulling them through that purchase funnel in the lead up and during Prime Day periods. As a result of focusing on new to brand customers within our AMC audiences, we were able to boost new to brand detail page views by 2x in the Prime Day lead up period versus prior months. And ultimately, we're able to drive some great new to brand rates for the brand during Prime Day. Now, we can't give all credit to the AMC audiences because this brand definitely had some very compelling deals live as well. But where AMC played a really valuable role is helping to get the brand in front of new to brand customers in the lead up period, so that once those deals were live during the event itself, the shoppers were more likely to see on their Amazon homepage, on the homepage of the app, our clients' promotions and the ASINs that were on sale. So really strong results here, all tied back to a strategy on new shopper acquisition. Matt, I'll pass it now to you for some last tips and tricks when it comes to sponsored ads, AMC audiences.
Yeah, so just sharing some of the learnings we did, a broad test at Envision using bid boosting across a number of clients, a number of campaigns, and just in aggregate, we saw 45% of the campaigns show improved ROAS. And so again, that's about 50-50. So that testing mindset is really key. And the ones that we did see improvement, it was, over 100% improvement on efficiency. So it was really impactful. What we learned from this initial test is that the campaigns that really performed had those lower bid adjustments. So be conservative with the initial bid adjustment. If you're not getting much traction, you can bump it up a little bit. But with the sponsored bid boosting, a little adjustment tends to go a long ways as long as your other bid strategy is competitive. That is the key learning. But we saw those high value lookalike audiences perform best across our portfolio. But we also saw subscribe and save lookalike audiences perform really well also. And then the last thing I'll mention is that we saw auto campaigns were able to generate the most impact. The reason for this is auto campaigns have the broadest targeting. So there's less restrictions on where your ads are serving. And so we were able to have more touch points on the sponsored side with these AMC customers because we were casting a wider net on our targeting to engage the right shopper. So highly recommend that you apply AMC custom audiences to your auto campaigns that you're running. You can also do it on your category campaigns. But what we measured is there's just lower overlap and efficiency there. I think I just alluded to all of these points, but selecting the right audience is key. Testing those audiences is really important. Having strong campaign structure can be a key in order to make sure that your AMC audiences are additive to a good campaign. It's not going to fix a broken or messy campaign. And then having those 10 to 20% bid multipliers tends to be best in terms of that adjustment level. And then the broader the match type, the broader the targeting, the better engagement we see, which makes a lot of sense, but something that you can think through strategically as you're building out those audiences. So the takeaway from bid boosting is that it can be a great additive approach and efficiency lever for you to pull. It takes the right settings and adjustments, but with the right tinkering and setup, it can be a great add efficiency and improvement to your campaigns on the sponsored side. We're running up on time, but just a couple other quick success stories. We saw ROAS improvement, efficiency improvement, really healthy ROAS by leveraging these audiences with a few of our different brands. So highly encourage you to test these out and put them into action. But with that, I know we are thin on time, so I'll hand it over to Kate for us to wrap up for today.
Yes, thanks, Matt. Hopefully this was helpful for everyone who joined in terms of some more tactical insights into setting up and utilizing AMC audiences within your Prime Day strategy. We've already shared within the handout section of our chat on the right a copy of our Prime Day playbook. It's got great tips and tricks for maximizing the lead up during an execution of your Prime Day. And then we would also be happy to conduct an audit with anyone who's joined us today on your existing strategies. And there's a pop-up now here in the webinar to allow you to request an audit. I did see one question come into the chat, and we'd love to use the remaining time here for any additional questions from this group. A question from Keith came in, which is, when applying AMC audiences for Prime Day lead up within DSP, what optimization or success KPIs do we recommend? That's a great question. We would recommend focusing on getting as much traffic to your product detail pages in the lead up period. And so we would recommend a detail page view rate or cost per detail page view KPI for that leading period. Why do we recommend that? I don't know if you've also observed this over the last few deals event, but Amazon is continuing to increase the use of customized or personalized widgets on their homepage during Prime Day. And so you'll see widgets like recommended for you based on your browsing history, pick up where you left off, again, based on your browsing history, deals based on your searches. All of those widgets are highly personalized based on what you are looking at in the lead up to Prime Day. And so that's why it's really important that we're trying to get as many shoppers to our ASINs PDPs in the lead up so that it's increasing the likelihood that within the hyper personalized experience Amazon is delivering to each shopper, that you're able to break through in those widgets. Now, I know it can be scary having maybe DPVR as a KPI in the lead up because if you're an efficiency focused brand, we often see that tacos or total advertising cost of sales will spike, as in go in the wrong direction, right before Prime Day. And that's because we see shoppers pulling back on their purchases, saving those purchases for the deal event itself. What we would recommend is to not pull back during that final few days of the lead up period when tacos can move in that wrong direction, because we see that a lot of brands have really strong tacos during the event to help smooth out your overarching average of tacos for the month. And so keep that in mind and fight that urge as you're getting closer to the event itself and might see those more efficiency type KPIs not trending where you would expect, because we can't overemphasize the value of that lead up traffic and awareness on helping to boost your visibility during the sale itself. That was quite an elaborate answer. If anyone else has other questions, please take a moment to pop them into the chat now. We'd be happy to go over them. And while we wait for any additional questions to come through, Matt wanted to see if you had any builds on my robust answer so far to that question.
No, it was really critical. I think patience is key with Prime Day, and going all in on lead in is certainly best practice. If you're able to wait and get through Prime Day and then look at your attribution on the lead in, you might be pleasantly surprised that your ACOS and ROAS efficiency has improved dramatically post Prime. So don't get scared or gun shy if you see ROAS trending down in the days before. Keep at it, trust the process, and you will reap the rewards during the event itself. Okay, we'll give just 30 more seconds for final questions, but we just wanted to thank everybody for joining us today. Again, we would be happy to set up some time outside of this call to talk through the ins and outs of AMC Audiences and how to best apply it to your business. But we want to wish everybody a really successful Prime Day and have a great rest of the week.
Beautiful. Thank you, Matt. And thanks everybody for joining us. Looking forward to hearing about success stories from all of you from this exciting deal period.